Someone said it best on Twitter. The only thing you need to be for Gizelle and Robin to defend you is wrong. Hey, good people. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Guys, I really appreciate you all, and I love that we're able to chat in the comment section. So definitely leave me some comments on your thoughts regarding this episode. I'm reviewing The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 7, Episode 7. Without further ado, let's go. So I'm not going to give you all a play-by-play of this particular episode. I just want to talk about some of the things that really stood out to me. And the first thing is this relationship between Mia and her so-called bestie, Jacqueline. And I say so-called because the way that Mia treats this woman, there is no way that I would consider you to be a best friend. Absolutely not. From Jacqueline asking Mia for some deodorant, to Mia kind of trying to badmouth her, to Gizelle and Ashley, to Mia in the car trying to shut Jacqueline up, to Mia at bar 1 trying to make it seem like Jacqueline has a little hookah problem. I just couldn't believe that you brought this woman on the show simply, in my opinion, to belittle her, to make her look dumb and stupid. So if I'm Jacqueline, I am definitely questioning our friendship. Like, this is not a friendship. Matter of fact, Jacqueline and Ashley are talking at bar 1, and Jacqueline tells Ashley that if she had met Mia as an adult, more than likely those two would not be friends because of the way that Mia is. Now, apparently Mia has a lot of people in her corner that just go along with the stuff that she pulls. But yeah, no. It would not fly if it were me. Just so you guys know a little bit of the background, Mia and Jacqueline have been friends since they were kids. I would think that Mia would have brought Jacqueline on the show to let her get to know the rest of the women and kind of earn her own position there on the show. But like I said earlier, I feel like Jacqueline is on there just to be Mia's punching bag. That's pretty much what I gathered from this episode in their exchanges. Mind you, when Jacqueline first did appear on the episode, they seemed to be like normal besties, right? But then all of a sudden they get to Miami and Mia is acting brand new. I don't like it at all. You guys let me know what your thoughts are on that. I want to touch a little bit on Ashley and Michael Darby because Ashley does tell Gizelle and Robin that Michael has been getting a little more difficult. And Gizelle and Robin try to make it seem like he's getting difficult because he realizes that Ashley is really serious about getting this divorce and he's concerned about the people that she's potentially going to be with and things like that. Absolutely not. That man is not concerned about Ashley and where she is and what she's doing. And I believe it's evident because every time you turn around when someone asks Ashley, where's Michael, how's Michael, or whatever the situation is, he's out of town somewhere. If it's not Vegas, he's out of the country. Like, he's just unavailable. And if somebody is gone and it's not business or anything like that, to me that says he's not worried about her. To me that says he's living his best life as a soon-to-be single male. Okay, remember also that Michael did not want to have any children with Ashley. He has grown adult children. In that phase of him being a father to younger children, obviously for him at his age, pretty much was a done deal. But Ashley wanted to press and have the babies, which obviously we know that they have two beautiful young boys. But I don't really see him being a hands-on dad. And I don't think that that bothers Ashley either. So it will be interesting to see as they get a divorce how involved he will be with the boys, but I don't really feel like he's going to be as involved. Let's talk about Cherisse and Karen. And Gizelle trying to make it seem like she all of a sudden cares about their relationship. Gizelle brings up the fact that Karen and Charisse embraced and she was happy to see it and she's hoping that they can mend their friendship. Gizelle, you a daggone lie. You know good and well you don't care nothing about Karen and Charisse mending any relationships. The whole reason why you brought this whole thing up at the dinner table is because, in my opinion, she wanted Charisse to spill some more tea about Karen or also go back and relive the moment that she had on the reunion where she thought that she was calling Karen out on supposedly, allegedly cheating on Ray. That's what Gizelle was banking on, 100%. So Karen and Charisse are finally having a little bit of a conversation, and Karen asks Charisse, like, why all of a sudden do you want to talk to me after 5 years? You've had 5 years to pick up the phone and call me, and you did not do so not one time. when Karen asks this question, they go to commercial break, and when they come back, it's as if the producers totally forgot about this moment between Karen and Charisse, because the next thing we see is Karen singing happy birthday to herself and eating her food. As a viewer, I'm sitting here like, hold up. I wanted to hear what Charisse had to say in her defense. Because to me, Karen gave her an I got you question, right? What could Charisse have said to that? Like, we all know it's dead obvious that she is back on this show to try to make Karen look bad, to try to come after Karen, basically doing Gizelle's dirty work, if you will. That's what I feel like she's there to do. You guys let me know if you feel something different, but I would have loved to have heard what Charisse had to say in response to Karen asking that question. I really felt like they did us a disservice by not playing that whole entire scene. Something else that I discovered with Charisse is that she's really not someone who's going to go back and forth with you. And even if she does go back and forth with you, she's not really like a Karen that's really quick-witted with the things that she says, or, you know, obviously she is no Candiace or even an Ashley Darby when it comes to clapping back. So I really don't think we're going to see her again for next season. I know that Charisse was an original OG to the show, but this episode for me lets me know why she was probably, if I'm not mistaken, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, and I could be very wrong. If I'm not mistaken, her first season, she was like one and done. Y'all let me know. I do know that at one point she did come back, but I'm not sure if she did 2 seasons back to back or if she was one and done the first season and then they brought her back. But I see why she's not a regular housewife on the show, because I feel like she just doesn't bring anything to the show. We even see with her and Wendy's exchange that there was really nothing there. Like, Charisse kind of drowned in all of the things that Wendy was saying. It was almost as if she was speaking, but she really didn't have a voice. So there's that with her. I also want to talk about this whole conversation that they were having, and I'm talking about Gizelle, Robin, Charisse, and Ashley on the way to bar 1, where Charisse says that she's never farted or went number 2 in front of her significant other. Gizelle and Robin basically are totally fine with doing stuff like that in front of their significant others. Robin goes as far as to say that she's walked around the house naked still to this day with her preteen and teenage sons, which I think is absolutely crazy. Like, ma'am, no. And Ashley also reveals that her mom did the same thing, walked around the house naked with her and her brother around, and still does to this day. What in the world? Like, what? What are these women talking about? I have 3 boys. My oldest is 8. I definitely am not parading around the house with no clothes on in front of him. I just think, for me personally, it's inappropriate, right? He's even at the age where when he changes his clothes, he does not want to change his clothes in front of me. So best believe I'm definitely feeling a certain type of way, changing and doing all of that in front of him. So I don't know how Robin does it, but if that's what works in your household, more power to you. I will also say, hearing what Charisse had to say as far as her not doing that in front of her significant other explains why obviously she wants to have her own bathroom. Let me tell you something. If I'm on a all-girls trip, or any trip for that matter, with a group of people, best believe I want to have my own bathroom as well. I don't know why Mia feels like it's fine that Charisse doesn't have her own bathroom and everybody should be okay with sharing bathrooms and things like that. If that's the case, Mia, why don't you just give Charisse your room with the bathroom that comes along with it, and you and Jacqueline stay in Charisse's room? That's an easy fix. Now let's get into this whole Wendy versus Mia situation. When I was watching this whole thing unfold, I was getting flashbacks of Monique and Candiace. Of course, during this episode, nobody's hair gets pulled, but Dr. Wendy, and I'm going to say Dr. Wendy, was assaulted by Mia. Mia threw that drink in her face, and that just wasn't cute at all. Like, what was she thinking? And what did Dr. Wendy say to Mia that warranted a drink being thrown in her face? Now, let me give you guys a little story, okay? I remember in middle school, I was always the type of person in school that if I saw something bad happening to one of my fellow classmates or a good friend of mine, I would defend that person, right? So I remember one day being in the cafeteria, and I remember I was sick during this day. So when I get sick, I don't know how you guys grew up, but my mom used to always be like, drink some ginger ale. So I had a can of ginger ale with me, and we're all sitting at the lunch table. And my friends and I, we get up to go get our lunch. We have our stuff down at the table. We get up to go get our lunch. And when we returned, one of my friend's items was somewhere else, and this girl was sitting in his spot. And I was like, oh, heck no, his stuff was right here. What are you doing? You need to move your stuff and let him sit here. He was at this seat first. So this girl proceeded to grab my ginger ale and throw it in my face. Now, this was the young me, right? You know, you're young, you really don't have a good head on your shoulders necessarily. So I got up from the table, went over to her side of the table, and we got it in. Well, at least I got it in. She really didn't fight me back, to be completely honest with you. I know how disrespectful it is to have a drink being thrown in your face. I'm really surprised that Wendy was able to keep her composure, but then we have to remember she's Dr. Wendy from Johns Hopkins University. Out of all of the women, if there's anybody that has the most to lose, it's definitely Wendy. So the fact that she was able to maintain her composure and wasn't getting rah-rah with Mia, at least up until that point, is applaudable. Now, as a grown adult, okay, I do not at all condone violence of any sort. I do not think that someone speaking and defending themselves warrants them to be hit, to have their hair pulled, or to have a drink thrown in their face. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't agree with that. Okay, for me personally, at this particular stage in my life, the only way that I'm laying hands on someone is if someone lays hands on me. That's it. Like, if you come for me, I'm gonna come back at you. But if you're not coming for me from a physical standpoint, there's no reason for me to respond to you in that way. So again, I'm lost on why Mia thought it was a good idea to pick up her drink and throw it in Wendy's face. It was not cute. And the fact that Robin and Gizelle sat there and basically defended Mia, saying that Mia's behavior is right. How is that? Like, really, Gizelle and Robin? Have you guys forgotten just what, 3 years ago, the situation that happened between Monique and Candiace, and how you guys were singing to the rooftops to whoever would listen that you didn't want to film or have anything to do with Monique? But you're going to sit here and be okay with what Mia did to Wendy? Okay, I could see that Mia did not physically touch Wendy, but she still assaulted her by throwing not only a drink, but later on her pocketbook, a napkin, or whatever else she was throwing at her. That's just not okay. And it's really hypocrisy at its best. Robin's behavior was, in my opinion, deplorable. She at one point was trying to tell Wendy, listen, if you're not going to fight her, then you need to sit down and be quiet. Like, what, Robin? Excuse me, Miss, I'm not aggressive. He kept trying to say that Wendy's being antagonistic and everything else. You're sitting there trying to get Wendy to fight Mia. Why? If you say you don't condone violence and you weren't happy with what Monique did to Candiace, and I hate to keep lumping Monique into Potomac, but Monique will forever be Potomac. I don't care what other show she's on. It is what it is. She will always be known for her altercation with Candiace. So my point is, if you're not okay with Monique doing that to Candiace, how come you're okay with Mia doing that to Wendy? Make it make sense. And Mia trying to use this excuse that Wendy was talking about G, that whole statement that Wendy made about G didn't happen until after the drink was thrown on her face. And to me, the fact that she didn't get up and smack the mess out of you for doing that, you should be grateful, right? Her talking about your husband should be nothing. You literally threw a drink in her face. Not to mention the fact, is this the same Mia who has a problem with Wendy talking about her husband, but yet she was okay with talking about Chris, saying that she felt a certain type of way about Chris allegedly staring her down, but we saw the video and Chris wasn't looking at her at all? So she's okay with trying to make Candiace's husband look bad, but has a problem because Wendy brings up her husband. And at that point in time, Wendy had just said, listen, me and my husband don't get down with me calling another man when I'm in another state, letting them know that I'm in town. We don't do that. Maybe that's what you and your husband do, but we over here, we don't do that. So again, tell me what Wendy said about G that was so bad that you had to throw a drink in her face. And then what also bothered me is when Karen sat up there and told Mia that she was wrong for throwing the drink in Wendy's face, Mia gets upset with Karen. And Gizelle and Robin are like yelling at Karen across the table because they want Karen to be a friend and choose a side, basically to defend Mia. No, Karen was right for telling her, ma'am, that wasn't the right way to handle the situation. Later on in the episode, Ashley sits there and tells Charisse, listen, I love Mia, but it was not warranted for her to throw the drink in Wendy's face. Is it that hard to admit that Mia was wrong? Really? I loved when Karen said to Gizelle, listen, I am a friend. I have been a friend to your raggedy, you know what. That was everything to me because you know Gizelle is raggedy, okay? Raggedy. I loved when Karen said that to her. I also loved when the producer pulled Wendy to the side and he was like, you know what? This is not worth it. She's not worth it. Don't do it, Wendy. Don't stoop to her level because initially I really felt like Mia was trying to get Wendy to respond in a violent way. That's what I really felt like. And that's where you have to separate the show from real life stuff. In that moment, for me, I felt like Mia knew exactly what she was doing, trying to bait Wendy so that ultimately Wendy would lose her job. Like Wendy, like I said earlier, she just has too much to lose, okay? She's a professor. She's on either MSNBC or CNN as a correspondent. Her fighting with someone physically would definitely cost her all of that. Best believe Mia is very aware of what Wendy could lose fighting with her. Mia has her own businesses. I know that she could take some losses as well, but nowhere to the extent of what Wendy could potentially lose sitting there fighting with her. And I also think that that's what Gizelle and Robin were banking on as well. There to be this massive fight and ultimately Wendy to no longer be on the show and to walk away with way less than she walked into the show with, meaning her job, her livelihood. I thought it was laughable to me when Mia goes outside and she's like, you know what? I'm so embarrassed by my behavior. At what point were you embarrassed? Were you embarrassed when you threw the drink in her face? Were you embarrassed when you got out of your seat and you were pointing your finger in her face? Were you embarrassed when you had to be held back by Jacqueline and the security that was there as you were trying to go after Wendy? Which one of those things embarrassed you? At what point were you embarrassed? Like, help me understand. We see Mia has these 2 broken nails and I don't feel no way sorry for her because you were the aggressor. You were the aggressor. So if you broke some nails, that's on you, boo. You did it. So back at the table, someone asked how Mia was doing and Gizelle said that she is not doing well at all. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. What, Gizelle? This statement prompts Wendy to get up out of her seat, toss her napkin, and say she's not going to sit here and listen to Mia sympathizers when she threw a drink in her face. Totally agree with Wendy. Can't believe that Gizelle is trying to swing the narrative to Mia being the victim. Wendy does admit that what she was saying about G, she was just trying to get up under Mia's skin, even though she did hear rumors about G and I guess Mia having relations with other people. I don't know. But she does admit that. I love the fact that Wendy is so smart. Like she is so daggone smart when she brings up the Monique situation. Because like I said to you guys earlier, this is what I was thinking throughout this whole altercation. And she says, you know, I find it funny, she's saying this to Gizelle, how you can sit there and sympathize, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, you can sit there and sympathize with Mia, but you had such an issue with the Monique and Candiace situation. Wendy walks away and she's like, if I stay in that house, I'm going to beat a you-know-what out of Mia. And I was like, Wendy, no. There was a moment earlier in the episode when everything went down between Mia and Wendy where you see Wendy kind of looking up to the sky, almost as if thinking about her actions. And and in my opinion, probably asking herself, did I go too far? And I thought after we saw that scene, she really calmed herself down and regained her composure, if you will. But then she lost it all again when she said, if I go to that house, I'm gonna beat this girl down. So I'm hoping they do show like a little statement at the end of the episode where it says that Johns Hopkins University is not associated with the show. So I know that Wendy more than likely has secured her job, thankfully. I enjoy seeing fun shade. I don't like when it gets to the point where people are being violent towards one another and when people are really trying to mess you up outside of the show, like mess with your career and things like that. When it gets to that level, it's like y'all have gone too far. Like I said earlier, in this episode, I just felt like these women were not only banking on Wendy responding to Mia a certain type of way, because mind you, Gizelle, Robin, Ashley, they all knew, and Mia, they all knew about Peter being upset with Wendy. And the fact that when Peter came, there was no animosity that he showed toward Wendy. So it's kind of like, Mia, what you talking about? And I think Ashley does ask her, was he just joking when he told you that he had beef with her or what? So these women were all privy to the situation between Wendy and Peter. And still, they're going to sit at the table and act like they don't know nothing. And it just, I don't know. It just seemed, it just really seemed like Mia was really trying to get Wendy to really get down and dirty with her. You guys share with me what your opinions are regarding this episode. I'd love to hear it. Let's have a dialogue in the comment section below. And I will definitely see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And enjoy the rest of your week. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.